chance. I got accepted. So then the next challenge was, how am I gonna pay $3,200 for this trip that's going to happen in like less than 2 months? As Ms. Terry said, that they do award you $1,000 scholarship to go towards the cost of the trip, and then you're responsible for paying for the trip, the rest of the trip on your own. Now, in order to offset the cost of the trip, you can apply for a scholarship called the Gilman Scholarship. And basically that's a grant through the U.S. Department of State Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs that has made it a point to assist people who can't normally afford to travel abroad. You can be awarded any amount they choose. It could be the whole cost of the trip. It could be partial of the trip. In order to apply for that trip, there is an application online that you have to fill out, which you have to answer several questions. You have to submit transcripts. You have 3 essays that you will be required to write. One will be about your personal, academic, and professional impact. One will be about why you think you deserve to go on the trip. And I apologize, I forgot what the other one is. But if you are, even if you haven't been accepted for the trip, if your application is in, and if you have been accepted, I encourage you to go online to www.gilmanscholarship.org, because the deadline for people who wish to travel this fall and early next summer is October 2nd, 11:59 CST. So basically, you guys have less than 5 days. That's about 4 days, 11 hours, because it's 11:59 CST, so you guys actually have an extra hour, on Eastern time. In order to apply, the only requirements are that you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be an undergrad in a 2 or 4 year school. You have to provide proof that you receive financial aid or the Pell Grant. You have to be applying for or already accepted to a study abroad program or internship that is at least 2 weeks for community colleges, 3 weeks for 4 year schools in a single country, and you have to be able to gain credits from your study abroad. And the country you travel to must have a travel advisory level of 1 or 2, which of course they've already cleared, so you're good on that one. It can only be received 1 time, so if you get it this time, great. If you don't, always consider applying for a future study abroad trip. About Argentina, my experience in Argentina was great. It was a new feel altogether, and I learned about myself. I learned about a new culture. Some of the classes that we took were Spanish, cultural traditions. We learned to tango. We learned folklore dance, and we took an English course. When you get there, there will be translators to help you understand, because not everyone speaks English over there, but they will throw you into a group of people who are speaking Spanish. But Melissa and Suzanne will be there for you to assist with you understanding. But it's not, like she said, it's not a vacation, it's an educational trip. So don't go over there expecting not to do any work, just relax and lounge, because you do. You have to work in all these classes. You have projects that you will do. We visited a farm, we visited a school, and you're expected to contribute and participate in all those events. Questions? Ask me questions.
Did you like the food?
I did like the food. The food, for some people, it didn't have enough seasoning. I thought it was okay. So that's a good question though. So when I went, we stayed at a hostel, which is something close to a bed, B&B. It's like a smaller hotel, but it's hosted by the people who are over it. And so the hostel that we stayed in, they provided you breakfast. Breakfast in Argentina basically consists of bread, tea, coffee, cheese, jam, no meat. So they don't believe in like a heavy breakfast or eating meat for breakfast, just, a heads up. because some people are upset about that. And then as far as lunch goes, we ate at the school, which they have, so they eat a lot. Like their plate of lunch is like the whole plate is full. So whatever you get, be assured you will get full off of it. And then for dinner, and they do have vegetarian options too, as well for those who don't eat meat. And then for dinner, we were on our own. So we would go out as a group sometimes, we would go out separately sometimes. But if you stay at the hostel, there are plenty of eateries within walking distance.
How many people were in your group that you were with?
So altogether, there were 4 girls and 2 boys. So the instructors got separate rooms, and then the boys were grouped together and the girls were grouped together, which was an experience for me because I've only come to community college, and so therefore I've always lived on my own and I had to bunk inside an actual room with people. And so that was actually a learning experience because there's 2 people who would sleep in a bed, and then there were bunk beds. And then in the beginning it was easy, but then after 2 weeks it just felt like everybody was bumping into one another.
Did you know anybody when you first?
Not on a personal level. We had just met through the group and the trip.
Okay. Did you guys get close? Or was it
Close?
weird at first? Yeah.
Did we get close?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you said close. So we did. 2 of the other participants actually attend GTCC, and then one of the female students was from Forsyth, and I think the 2 guys were from Davidson County. So, it's 3 schools together: Forsyth County, Davidson County Community College, and us.
What kind of, you said you had to get college credit for it to be able to apply for the grants. What kind of credit did you get?
So in order to go on a trip, you will be required to take a course that is on the short, well, at least for me, this summer or last semester, it was on the 8-week course period. So the way they had to set it up was 1 day a month. It's a total of 3 classes. We had 1 class here, 1 class at Forsyth, 1 class at Davidson Community College, where we would learn about Argentina before we go, because you never want to go into a country and not know anything about it. So we practiced a little Spanish. We practiced learning about the culture, how not to be a rude American, because we are innocent people.
Yeah.
And basically, it just prepares you for what to expect as much as it can. But you can never be completely prepared, if you know what I mean.
The course that she's talking about will be offered through Forsyth Tech, since Forsyth Tech is sponsoring this year's trip.
Okay.
But the credit transfers.
Right. Okay.
It transfers back here.
180.
It's 3 credit hours.
That's what I was.
180.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so even if you attend here, whatever college that sponsors the course, you'll be able to enroll there.
Right.
And then Melissa in the financial aid can direct you on how to do that.
It's an easy process.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Tanisha, you said that you took several courses while you were in Argentina. What was that like?
It was a great experience. They were nice enough to hold the courses in English, because there were several of us who had never had a lick of Spanish until the 3-class course that was necessary to take before we studied abroad. But we did have Spanish class, and she will also speak to you in English, but you are expected to try to learn as much Spanish as you can, because we did have classes that we went into where the students were speaking Spanish, primarily Spanish. And when we went to the schools, we were lucky enough, that a lot of the students that we came in contact with had taken English, but they're still learning. But sometimes when you go on the tours, they speak primarily in Spanish as well.
How did that make you feel?
Well, me
being-
personally, I had taken some Spanish before the trip,
Okay.
so I was a little more comfortable with most. And I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but I would say maybe in the middle. My Spanish is.
So you were
Right.
able to get around.
I'm sorry.
You were able to get around.
I was, and we were always encouraged to stay together, of course, because you're in another country and, you know, they're responsible for you if you ever become missing, which I hope never happens. But, you know, we did, at the end, you know, they felt comfortable allowing us to kind of walk around the city, and we felt comfortable walking around downtown. And it was fun for me because I just like experiencing people in your own culture. So we're a very diverse country, and we have people from all other countries over here. But being in another country, in someone else's country, is different. So you gain more of a feel of the culture, and they're proud of the culture. And it's like, well, Mario, the owner of the hostel, said, you know, you're in Argentina, you speak Spanish. I come to America, I speak English. So, you know, there are a lot of people who have basically that mindset about it, and they will expect you to speak Spanish whether they know English or not. So just going around to some of the stores and the restaurants, I spoke as much Spanish as I could, even if they were English speaking, just to let them know.
That you were considered, yeah.
Mm.
Well, how different is, so I've been told that Argentinian Spanish is a little more difficult than, you know, the typical Spanish that we take in class or that you find in Spain, Mexico, that kind of thing. What's the difference there?
So that's a good question. So there are many different dialects of Spanish, and in Argentina, the dialect is
Castilian?
Oh, I can't say it. Say it for me too.
Castilian?
Castano.
Like from Castile?
Castano.
Oh.
I can't say it properly. I apologize. But basically, that was one of the things that we took notice of too, because
Italian
Monica is actually of Mexican descent, and she was saying that the Spanish in Argentina is different from the Spanish in Mexico, and it's a little bit different from what I was taught from the textbook. So while we say the double L is yeah, in Argentina the double L is pronounced je. So it's Villa Maria. Come on, say Jama, and they expect you to say it like they are you being disrespectful. But they're very kind people. They're very kind people. You know, I've met some people who had abroad experiences in other countries, and they say that wasn't their experience with the people. But Argentines are very warm. They're very welcoming, and they're happy to see you there. They appreciate you coming.
Were there any experiences of culture shock while you were there? Anything that you did not expect that you had to make an adjustment to?
The biggest thing were the dogs being everywhere. If you're a dog lover, then I'm sure you're like in heaven. But for me, who appreciates animals, mostly fish, it was just, it was like, you know, you're walking around, there's dogs everywhere. Like more so, I would say, even than here. And in the restaurants, in a lot of places of business, the dogs are welcome. You know, even if it's a stray dog, they may not look so great. You know, people will bend down, give them a hug. That's what they do. And some restaurants are more respectful of people who don't really care for the dog being inside, and so they kind of have like a little outside area outside the tables if they have them. But dogs are definitely welcome. Coming through Cordoba, so our process was from here, we went to the airport in Cordoba, and we drove over to Villa Maria. And in Cordoba, it's a small little country town, and we actually also saw stray horses because people are kind of poor; they can't afford to keep up with the animals as well. So it's not even uncommon to see a horse kind of walking around the neighborhood. Any other questions about Argentina?
Let me just remind you that if you haven't applied yet, those applications are due to Melissa by Monday. So I've printed off some copies. I have them up here. If you're even at least thinking about them, come get your application today because she'll need it by Monday. Thank you so much, Taniesha.
Do I have time to share just a little bit?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I did want to give you guys and answer questions or anything about Argentina specifically, but I also think it's important to inform you why you should travel abroad. So through being a Gilman scholar and Gilman alumni, I'm always getting invitations to travel within the country to go to different workshops and such. I've been to two. I went to Charlotte, where I learned a lot about how Charlotte is booming with international business and how they're always looking for people to travel abroad, who've traveled abroad. And then I've also gone to Kansas City just last weekend or weekend before last, and we sat down with 3 CEOs who were informing us about our opportunities now, what is out there for us now. So what they were saying and what other employers are saying about students who choose to travel abroad is that they are looking for you, because this signifies that you're self-motivated, you're a self-learner, you're independent, you're adaptable. You learn new languages and cultures, which is always a contribution to the company. You're in a new country without support network. You have to learn to build trust. You gain new problem-solving skills. You increase your resourcefulness. And so research has shown that employees who have traveled abroad often get paid up to $7,000 over regular employees annually. They're looking for international travelers in all aspects of business, energy, hospitality, you name it. On a personal level, you learn a lot about yourself. You assess your flexibility, your people skills. You gain confidence and more independence. You break out of this mind of ethnocentricity, and you realize the world is so much bigger. You gain an appreciation of other cultures, and hopefully you choose to learn other languages. And it's adventurous. On an academic level, traveling abroad can offer so much more to a discussion in class or online. It contributes to your